it's Miss Madeline. Welcome to another math class. We are going to work on lesson number 7 of chapter number 12. So please open up your math books on page 791. Area and distributive property. Now, the grid shows a rectangle with a length of 6 units and a width of 5 units. Remember that length is largo and width is ancho. Now, if the length of this rectangle is increasing 2 units, what would be the new area? Now, as you can see in your books, the first square has one area. Now the book is saying if you increase, which is this part B, by 2 units, remember that units are columns, what will the new area be? Now first you're going to count the area of rectangle A. How do you do this? You count all of the squares. The answer is 30. There are 30 unit squares on rectangle A. Now, if we shade 2 units more with the same width, we are adding 10 more squares. 10 more unit squares. You just need to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so if we use the distributive property, we know that to find the area of rectangle A, we need to multiply. Remember, area is equal to length times width, right? So to find the area of this first rectangle, we are going to multiply 6 times 5. Now, to find the area of only rectangle B of this part, we are going to multiply the same. 2 times 5, area is equal to length times width. Where do we get 2 times 5? Well, we have two columns times 2 times 5. Okay, now let's find 6 times 5 is 30 and 2 times 5 is 10. We add 30 plus 10 is 40. So the area, by adding these 10 units, by increasing 2 units, which is 10 units squared, the new area will be 40. Okay, another way to do it is 8 times 5. Okay, next page. Now, the distributive property can be used to model the area of a rectangle. Recall that the distributive property allows you to decompose one of the factors. Now, distributive property, we already learned it earlier. Remember in another chapter, we already reviewed what is distributive property. In the distributive property, you may decompose one of the numbers so you can solve the problem easier and faster. Now, we are going to find the area of this rectangle. We have 7 units in here, 7 rows and 12 columns. We are going to decompose one of the factors, and you can decompose 12 as 10 times 2, 10 plus 2, I'm sorry. We are going to find the area of each smaller rectangle, and then we are going to add. How are we going to decompose? Remember, we are going to use the distributive property by decomposing 12 as 10 and 2. we are going to multiply 7 times 10 and 7 times 2. Now, after we need to multiply 7 times 10 equals 70 and 7 times 2 equals 14. After we do this, we add to find the area. So the area of this rectangle is 84. Remember, in the distributive property, we decompose one of the factors, okay? Remember that 12 we compose it as 10 and 2, and we are going to multiply here. We use it one time, okay? Next page. Let's start. Use the distributive property to find the area of each rectangle. Now, we are going to multiply 6 times 7. And how are we going to use the distributive property? We are going to decompose one of the factors. In this case, the book is asking you to decompose 7. How are we going to decompose 7? One way is 5 and 2. Now we use the distributive property and multiply 6 times 5 and 6 times 2. After we multiply each of these numbers, we add the answers. 6 times 5 is 30 and 6 times 2 is 12. Now, how much is 30 plus 12 is 42. So the area of this rectangle is 42. Now, number 4, 9 units and 8 units. Remember that we're going to decompose, we're going to use the distributive property, and the book is asking us to decompose this number. One way to decompose 9 is 5 and 4. So we're going to multiply 8 times 5 equals 40 and 8 times 4 equals 32. Now we need to add 40 plus 32 equals 72. The area is 72 square units. Okay, now find the area of each rectangle. Use the distributive property to decompose the longer side into a sum. Show your steps. Now, we are going to find the area, and remember that area is equal to length times width. We need to find how much is 11 times 4. This is my problem, right? Now, we can decompose the first number or the second number. It doesn't matter. The answer always has to be the same. So, let's decompose as 11 times 2 plus 11 times 2. Now, how much is 11 times 2? 22 plus 22. The answer is 44. Okay? Remember that we decompose so we can do it easier and faster. Let's do number 6 together. Remember, area is equal to length times width, so we multiply 5 times 12, and we still do not know how much it is. Now, how can we decompose these numbers? You can pick either to decompose 5 or 12. Now we use the distributive property. Now, we are going to decompose 12 as 5 times 10 and 5 times 2. We are decomposing 12 as 10 and 2. And then we multiply. How much is 5 times 10? 50. And 5 times 2 is 10. And then we add. 50 plus 10 is 60. Now, next page. Problem solving. In this case, we are not going to do it, so please turn to my homework. Now, take a look at this homework helper. Here's another way they are explaining you guys how to solve these problems, okay? You decompose one of the factors and then you multiply and then add to find the area. Now, number 1 of my homework, use a distributive property to find the area of the rectangle. Now, 6 times 9, the book is speaking to decompose number 9. One way, because there is many ways to decompose numbers, one way to decompose 9 is 5 and 4. So now we multiply. 6 times 5 is 30 and 6 times 4 is 24. And 30 plus 24 is 54. Number 2. Use a distributive property to find the area of the rectangle. Now, the book is picking number 12 to decompose, and how one way to decompose 12 is as 10 and 2. So we multiply. 8 times 10 is 80 and 8 times 2 is 60. 80 plus 16 is 96. Now, find the area of a rectangle. Use a distributive property to decompose the longer side. Show your steps. Now, I will do number 3 with you guys. You guys need to do by yourselves number 4, but remember to show your steps. Do not only write the answer. Now, let's do number 3 together. We are going to find how much is 9 plus 9. But we are going to use a distributive property. We can write this as, we are going to decompose this number as 9 times 5 plus 9 times, okay, let me erase this. 9 times 9 as 9 times 4 plus 9 times 5. Okay, we are decomposing 9. How much is 9 times 4? 36. And 9 times 5 is 45. So we need to add 36 plus 45 is 81. Now, the answer for number 4 is 88, but make sure that you show your steps. Number 5. Erica is painting a rectangular painting. The painting has a length of 12. Remember that length is largo and width is ancho of 10 inches. Use the distributive property to decompose. Now, remember that to find the area you need to multiply length times width. So you multiply 12 times 10. Let's say that we decompose this number as 2 times 10 plus 10 times 10. You either can decompose 12 or 10, but Miss Marlene is going to decompose the first number. Remember, let me highlight this, that this number does not change. This number stays the same. 2 times 10 is 20 and 10 times 10 is 100, and then you add 20 plus 100 is 120. Now, number 6. Hector will build a deck in his backyard. The deck has a length of 9 meters and a width of 8 meters. Use the distributive property to decompose the factor 9. Then find the area of the deck. So the answer will be 72 square meters. Okay, so we're finished with the lesson. Hope you understand. Bye.